Okay, hello and welcome back. I know we've missed a couple weeks, but we're back here with Season 5 of the Plague League Historic Pauper series. This is week number 7, and we're just continuing to explore Historic Pauper. I've been playing a wide variety of interesting decks this season. I've been trying to diversify a little bit rather than just playing what I view as the best deck, but we're going to come back and we're going to take a look at what I think is the best deck here in Dimir Snowball. Some of you might remember this from prior championships for the Plague League Historic Pauper series. I've always played Dimir Snowball in the playoffs since it became a deck. So you'll see that there's a few minor changes. I'm now playing 2 murders, and I've split them with my Obnixilus's Cruelty. There's now 2 Suffocating Fumes, which have left and then come back. I'm now playing a split of Myers Grasp and Moment of Craving, and then I've got 4 priests to round out the hard removal, so to speak. I've cut one of the River Winders and one of the Imps and one of the Wandering Deaths to provide a better selection of removal also. In the sideboard, I'm down to 1 Negate, and you'll see hidden down here is 1 Salvager of Secrets. We have the remaining Suffocating Fumes, 4 Freaka's Libations, an additional Murder, and then the usual discard and life gain package. So I actually haven't played this deck a lot in the last couple of sets, so we obviously played it during Kaldheim, and it was great. But now Strixhaven and Historic Anthology 4 have both come around. So I'm exploring what it looks like in this new environment with wishes and stuff, or not wishes I should say, but with lessons. And we're going to see how this deck behaves. It might be correct to go up to 4 secrets, but that's what we're here to figure out. We're here to figure out what our playoff deck looks like, given that this is a 10-week season. And while I believe I have qualified for the playoffs, I'd still like to get a sense of what I'm actually going to be playing there. Hopefully everyone enjoys the games today, and I'll see you in a minute with our first round. Okay, and we're back playing in Sunnyvale for round 1. This hand is fine. It's not particularly great, but it's a fine enough hand on the draw. Okay, looks like Sunnyvale is playing the mono blue card draw tempo deck, which is a reasonable deck. Oh, so this is going to be a blue-white flyers kind of list. All right, that's fine. Oh, this is a murder, not whatever else. So I'll just lead on priest, and then we'll continue working at it. This deck sometimes causes problems, but usually it runs out of gas too quickly. I expect that this should be an okay matchup. I don't know what it's really gained from Kaldheim that I should worry about. I am going to aggressively kill its creatures, though. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do here is just make sure I get my second black by playing Priest into Ice Tunnel, and then that uses all my mana, and I'll be able to murder whatever creature is a problem. Actually, I'll just use all my priests as well. Okay, sorry about that. And so it's just Wishing Well into Fox, which is fine. I have 2, so we're going to start off by killing the Frost Trickster. I can't remove artifacts, so it's functionally identical, but I don't want any weird blink effects to come around. The question is, do I want to kill this? I think I just want to kill a Fox here. All of these are just effectively glorified removal spells right now. And then I think I just want to hard stop my opponent. And that's for tempo reasons. Because next turn I can actually Wander in Death for both priests, replay a priest, and put murder on top of my deck. And then it just kind of snowballs from there, as the name says. Okay, spare supplies. Yeah, so this is like kind of an artifact tempo-y thing. It's cute with the flyers. I'd actually rather recur something else, I think. I don't think I need the murder quite yet, especially given that I've got uh, 2 priests here. I'd rather just play this out. I'd rather potentially get back Wandering Death, but it really depends on what creatures my opponent shows up with. I'm definitely looking for his secrets. It might be that my deck is really hungry for secrets now that it plays 10 2-drop removal spells. Although Priest is a pseudo 2-drop removal spell, given that it hangs out. Sometimes it dies, sometimes it blocks in combat, etc. Okay. So this is post-combat, and that's interesting. I'm going to lead on Seagate. And I don't really need Suffocating Fumes, but it's fine. So I think I'll probably should just take Suffocating Fumes at this point. It's an interesting choice. The question is, do I want like another Wandering Death? I probably don't need more than a Wandering Death. I'd rather have a flexible card. If I'm going to be taking extra damage, it's going to be in the air. So we're going to kill this, and then we're going to block with our 0/4. And I'm actually just going to see the next card in a normal way. I don't really want to accelerate that. I'll just build my mana. It's not a big deal. Because my opponent isn't showing any pressure, we're on 13 life. We could even get our Seagate Oracle killed and it wouldn't matter. So we're going to see if they've got any tricks. Can't imagine they do, given that they're blue-white. At least not post-combat. Okay. Yeah, so all the little tricks. That's fair. All right, so we are a little down. I have 5 snowlands, so we'll just kill this. And I'm going to cycle this, I think, first and see if I can get anything good. I'd rather not draw Wandering Death quite yet, but now for the next turn it seems good because I can deploy a full range of threats, and we'll just get in for 1. My opponent should, it doesn't actually matter if they sack right now. Like, I'm not sure I actually would sacrifice that for mana, unless they can use it, because it's mana neutral. They can do that just as well on their turn. I guess then in that case it doesn't matter. But they can have more white, which they might need. And they might have drawn a card that invalidated the need to draw it. So this is where my opponent does gain a bunch of cards, but we can also gain a bunch of cards here. Interesting. Okay. So now they can save one of their creatures later in the game. Oh, Sunny, you've turned on full control again. This is something that Sunnyvale does against me, and it's designed to stop me from reading priority, because I'm one of the players who will read this, and I've commented on this in stream before, that even if even if it's only of marginal use, I will always try and read priority. And it's something that I know that Sunnyvale has tried to combat in some of our games. So we'll just replay all these things. It's fine. It's fine. I'm just going to play an island. I'm not quite ready to get hard removal back. And to be fair, like, doing this against a player you know is going to try and read your priority is relevant, but it also makes the games take longer in like kind of an unnecessary way. Also, I don't think that my opponent has any tricks. I don't think this is the type of deck that should play tricks, but we'll see. All right, so now you sack the Wishing Well, get 2 more cards. My opponent's way up on cards, but the question is, do any of the cards matter? I really do need secrets, though. I am not quite due for secrets yet, though. I'm close. Yeah, I think probably adding another secrets is correct for this deck. And I think that helps you get more of the critical mass. Flutterfox, okay. Obviously, we're going to be killing the Flutterfox on our turn. Oh, is my opponent going to respond or something? I'd really like to use Moment of Craving on it, but I know I can't because actually, is there anything that would let's just try. I don't think my opponent can have anything that draws 2 cards because this says second card of the turn. You can't draw 2 cards off of 2 mana in this format. If my opponent has some interesting little trick, I will 100% of the time trade Moment of Craving for Dauntless Unity. It's a good trade for me. And it's also useful to know that my opponent has Dauntless Unity. That means I'll probably take Suffocating Fumes out, just because it doesn't really do anything. I don't want to obscure my draw step. Yeah, you can see the game hanging, even though I don't have priority. That could be lag, but I'm pretty sure it's full control being enabled. Alright, so now they tap down the Priest probably, try and gain themselves a turn or so. Sphere. Crack Sphere. Make it a 3/4. 3/4 flyer is like actually pretty decent. That is one thing that I do like. Like Mantle with Trickster is pretty good. I just I don't know. I think that Bone Splitter is better. Just the extra power is worth going after, and it's also more consistent. You don't ever have to pay this equip 3 nonsense. Interesting. Okay. All right, now we're gonna get to roll a little bit more. So let's draw some cards. I'm willing to take 3 from this. I don't see that as an issue. Yeah, and now we're just gonna keep rolling with our little snowball. Those are not good cards, that's for sure. I think I'd rather have the untapped land at this stage in the game. I'm going to assess, and I think what I need now is Wander in Death. And we'll just keep the recursion. Be interesting to see if my opponent has any graveyard removal for the second and third games. My opponent has seen a lot more cards than I have. Cloudkin. Yep. Probably moves it over. I'm actually going to use the Priest to kill the Cloudkin. Just makes it that much tougher. Okay, you're actually building a little force. This could be good. Like, if my opponent has Dauntless Unity, there actually could be a win somewhere in there for them. They managed to draw enough cards that it's like actually feasible. So I'm going to take a risk here because all my creatures are expendable and they're going to draw cards anyway. And I'm just going to attack. So I'm going to take 4 down to 11. There's nothing I can really do about that, unfortunately. I do need my own Cloudkin Seers and such. I'm a little bit short on them. I've drawn 3 of my 12 snowball creatures in the top 20, which is not unreasonable. And my opponent plays Essence Scatters too. Interesting. Okay. That means I'm going to take 5 and go to 6. I'm going to play this because the extra land is useful if I draw secrets, or if I start a snowball chain that involves secrets. Yeah, it doesn't look like my opponent has great answers to snowball creatures, especially in blue-white, and I think that it's going to be pretty strong to... Yeah, so I get like 2 draw steps right now. It's fair. Okay. That's a good draw. So now I've got... Okay, that is a very good draw as well. I see, I see. So it doesn't really matter how I do this, other than it's like marginally better to kill this thing. Just because I get attacks. And I am actually going to Suffocating Fumes in the way that it was meant to be played rather than cycling it. I think that's more correct. So this is where it gets fun. I don't know if my opponent's playing Opts, but I'm going to play this here. So if they move it, actually, I guess it doesn't matter in that much. Like, I'm just using this effectively as a 1-for-1 that gains me a life, which is fine. I now barely win the race, I think. Yeah, I do. If we both brick out, I win the race. I'm not going to bluff, just because the value of having lands is pretty good for me. 5, 10, 12 lands. Okay, I'm a little ahead of schedule, but that's fine. Technically, some of them, yeah, it's fine. So if my opponent bricks out, although they've had 2 draws, but they're probably going to hold lands, odds are. Curious how many lands their deck plays. Do you have a lot of card draw that's early? I feel like we must have seen all the cards at this point. I'm really curious to play against, there's a new breed of blue-red Serpentine Curve decks that have come into existence since Strixhaven. So I'm very curious to see exactly where they go. Okay, so we're still alive. Still winning this race. We bricked out. I'm not going to play this land, which I hope doesn't come back to haunt me. Yeah, I think 1 more Secrets is correct. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to cut, but I think I'm probably... It might be a Suffocating Fumes. Fumes is usually underwhelming. It's nice to bring in against certain decks, but it's generally very underwhelming. So I'll probably play a... Okay, and that was an excellent draw. I'll probably play it over whatever else I decide to do. But I think 4 Secrets really provides a nice engine. We are due for a secret somewhere in here. If the next card is Secrets, I probably win. That's a good scry. Okay, and we are dead. I'm just going to concede to save time. I don't really feel like playing it out. There's just like no attacks they can make, and there's no attacks I can make that actually make any sense. So I'm not a huge fan of Fumes, just because the only thing it hits is the bird. Hold on, wait, we want this back in. All right, this is not the way I usually use this. There we go. So we like Fangs, because there's no removal once something's on the board. There's no enchantments. Murder's okay. Fumes is pretty bad. My game's just lagging a touch. Come on. There we go. So I think that that's a pretty good switch. Two Fangs come in for the Fumes. I don't really see a need for much else of this. It's just all about value and killing off their creatures. I could see cutting one Lampad since you're not really fighting early aggression for something like Murder or for Salvager. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, we're not fighting off as much early aggression, and that's where Lampad of Death's Vigil really shines. So, this is fine enough. The artifacts are a little bit annoying since I can't actually combat that in a direct way, but it'll be okay. Alrighty, back for game 2. Let's get a W here and then move on to game 3 if we can. That's the goal. I do want to play first against this deck. This hand is really, really bad. This hand is better. My opponent is choosing. His mulliganing also. Okay, that makes me feel a little better. So I think we don't want the Wandering Death. I think we just need to play out a normal land game, and it'll be fine. I'm going to lead on Mystic Sanctuary, as I have no guarantee that anything else is going to come into play. It's going to come into play tapped, or untapped, I mean, later. At least not when I need it, and I need to curve 2 into 3. If my opponent doesn't do anything, I'm going to curve Priest into Rager. If they do something, then I might deviate and Moment of Craving it. Bone Splitter. Yeah, it's smart that they're playing Bone Splitter. That's a really good choice. So in this case, I'll just play Priest. Okay, so they just have all the enchantments and none of the things, which is fine. I'll just draw a card and pass the turn. Okay, another Rager. That makes for a good turn 4, but yeah, I'd probably sack the Priest. It makes sense. Even Eternal. Well, that's a nice card. Good choice. I think I'm just going to take 4. There's nothing that... Actually, I'm not going to take 4. That doesn't make sense. I should just kill this. And for tempo reasons, it's better to play along these lines. You can make this a 4 toughness creature. So I'm not going to try to do anything fancy. I don't know why you think this is a block here. But I'd rather race with 3 removal spells in hand, as this will put together a pretty decent clock. Or it puts together a 3 toughness creature, but 4 power, I should say, which is what I was worried about. I didn't want to trade both Ragers for the creature, just because it has everything on it. I'll trade 1 for it, potentially, but not if they're attacking with open mana. Yep. That I will kill with a Mire's Grasp. Oh, you're a game late, my dear secrets. So we'll kill you. Kill you. And then we'll try and play a tempo game here. Land, sack for 4. Yeah, full control is not on right now, but that's fine. So I'm at 7 permanents. Might have to cast this just for 2 at this point. Gain a little bit of advantage. Yeah, Assistant does some work. Great art, too. Yeah, I like Witching Well a fair bit. It's a great combo with Archaeomancer. Yeah, I think if I don't draw anything particular, like I just have to jam secrets, and I probably kill the bird. Especially if my opponent spends time equipping it. If my opponent plays like a fox or something, then obviously I'll kill the fox. I think I'm just actually going to start on drawing 2 cards. And that was pretty bad. So we're going to just kill it. And attack. Should have played a land first, but it's okay. And now let's see if we can draw some action. Mystic Sanctuaries are now all live. And they actually will draw 3 cards at this point. Okay. At least we're the beatdown this game. Alright, Archaeomancer gets back that. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. We need to draw something real. Oh, did bring in the bogs. I don't know what I think about that. Like, it kind of makes sense. That turns out to be very good, although I didn't have any. I had 1 creature in there. Okay, that turned out to be pretty good then. Not going to suicide them into the Archaeomancer quite yet, but we're getting close. I'm not sure where I feel about Bazooka Bogs coming in after board. I think it's really awkward. I think that bringing a tapped off-color land is very difficult for a lot of decks. So I think it very much depends on where you think you're going to be fighting them. I think that most decks don't actually want to fight an anti-graveyard battle. They'd prefer to fight a tempo game instead and just say, sure, you want to do some graveyard recursion or something like that? I don't care, I'm just going to be faster than you. Or I'm going to just kill your creatures for less mana. So this is unfortunately going to be a lot of damage here because we stalled out. I might have to suicide the Rager this next turn. It's quite possible I should have just done it now. Let's see, this is 9 lands right now. Oh well. Yep, that's pretty good. Scry 3. Oh, or Scry 1.5, I guess. Top. That's not what you want to see. Okay, that's a good card. Let's draw a card here. Yeah, we are drawing a lot of lands here. That's what it is. Given the numbers, I need to bash with both of them here. Yeah, it's funny. I actually don't have as much graveyard recursion as everyone imagines these days. Used to have more, but I cut some of it. Alright, that's better. We get some removal now. Oh, my opponent's seen fewer cards than me this game. Okay, so we got to make the trades where we can. The problem is that I don't have any great trades with this thing. So I almost just have to take 6, and in some ways this is better, because unless they had Dauntless Unity right there, we kill them on a crackback. Like, they might be realizing that right now, that this is just like, yeah, still dead. They need something. They need another creature. Oh, they got another creature. Darn. Okay, so if I draw a removal spell, they die. Because I can remove 2 blockers, and that's 5. If I trust that they don't have removal, and I think I do. I don't think this deck plays removal. I think this is... I was surprised to see Essence Scatter. I think this is mostly a tempo deck. Okay, so we brick out there. So how do we live is a question then. I have to kill something. And they were able to keep Wishing Well, which is really unfortunate. So if I kill this thing and I battle over, it doesn't matter? No, I die. Okay. So what are my outs here, if any? We'll play a land. I can kill the biggest creature, and you can't stop that. And then I can chump block another, and then I have a rebuy draw next turn. Okay, so we'll do that. It's not pretty, not at all. But it does force an aggressive Rude Law Enforcer, which means that my crackback might be lethal. Like I get a redraw on some type of snowball effect. It's unlikely, but I have drawn enough lands that I'm probable to draw something that's good. So we'll just have to see. Oh, that makes sense. They actually want to force the chump here. Yeah, so I have a redraw, it looks like. Ooh. That's really interesting. No, they're trying to take away the redraw. That makes sense. Okay, good play. Hmm. Yeah, they're supposed to attack with the Archaeomancer. If they think I've got a single removal spell that isn't Moment's Craving. But they beat Moment of Craving right now. So it's really interesting back and forth. They're also probable to draw. They're maybe not probable, but they have a decent likelihood of drawing a creature. So I only have air blocks. And to survive right now, I can block here and then kill this, or I can block here and kill. Like I can. It's either one of these two. Which way matters more? Like I can force them to crack the Wishing Well, but they're going to crack the Wishing Well anyway. So which way do we go? What gives the max equity? Max equity is I don't think it really matters that much because you have to force the Wishing Well crack, I think, to get max equity. And now they let that happen. That's really interesting. That's not at all what I expected. All right, now we see exactly how much equity is left in this game. I probably have to draw secrets, but I'm now due for a secrets at 20 cards in. Okay. All right, so we really need... you didn't want to use up your trigger. Interesting, but I don't know. You're probable to win if you go another turn, is the thing. I would have re-equipped this to the Archaeomancer probably, but it's fine. It doesn't actually matter. You either win or die here. Like I either draw secrets into like removal, and kill you, or I draw something like that, or I draw enough creatures. Okay. Oh, interesting. That definitely changes things a little bit. Well, that gains 3 life. That's something. But I should still be dead. I needed that instead of one of the lands. Yeah. And then take 6 in the air. Oh well. Just a few too many lands there. I think I should cut secrets for Suffocating Fumes. That makes a lot of sense. Alrighty, I'll see you for the next game. Okay, so we actually got the bye in round 2, so this is round 3 in our final round of the evening. We're playing against Sean, who I believe is in second place for this season. He's been killing it with a number of sweet decks, and this hand is fine. It's not extraordinary, but it's very solid. It lets us go turn 1 Ice Tunnel, Priest, tapped, Grasp, Rager. So definitely going to keep it. And there's additional equity if we draw well on some stuff. Okay, that's a pretty decent draw. Cadaver Imp's always nice. I do think that it isn't better than a 1-of at this point. Green-white. Is this the green-white Groff deck that I've been hearing about? Something I should play at some point. Ooh. Oh, this is a Bant. Actually, just going to kill this. This is a Bant. What are they called? Mutate deck. Obviously, Mutate. I saw Sean kicking this around on our deck building channels. This will be interesting. There's some hexproof threats that Sean can present that are going to be really annoying. But otherwise, this should be fine. I'll play the second island. So now if I draw a third island, then I'm golden. And I can like either Rager or Cadaver Imp and kill their creature. And that's generally what I'm going to be doing. Just trying to run my opponent out of cards while I stay with some number of cards. Okay, so my opponent's probably going to Behold the Multiverse. I'm not sure what I think about that in this deck. Behold, I think, is a better control card than a mid-range card. I think that Secrets is just what you should be playing, generally. Alright, we're going to see what we got here. Island. No island. So in that case, I'm just going to play Sanctuary, and I'm going to ship the turn. Okay, so there's the Behold that we knew about. Next turn, we can consider how we want to do this. We might want to Seagate for additional card value, because we want to be able to go Seagate into Moment. Depends on what my opponent plays. I think the biggest card that we're worried about is the 3/3 Merfolk, Jade Guardian. My opponent does have all colors of mana off basics, which is generally what makes a good starting hand for my opponent, I'd imagine. Okay. So we've got a Cocoon. The one issue is this doesn't give a card, so it can be killed pretty easily. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Moment the Essence Symbiote. And I'm not sure what else. What does my opponent have? Why are they selecting their creatures? Oh, Sentinel's Eyes. Okay. Well, I'm not afraid of it gaining hexproof. So what I'm going to do is just kill the Cocoon for mana reasons. If this thing gets really big or something, we can always murder it. And then, because I know my opponent has a bunch of small creatures, I'm going to rebuy the Moment. And then I'm going to draw the Moment of Craving, I think. I could also just kill the Essence Symbiote. Let's actually just do that. Yeah, it's 3. Yeah, we're good. Let's kill it and then play Cadaver Imp. it might have made a little more sense to play Rager. It definitely doesn't make sense to play Oracle. But there's a little bit of equity in actually getting to see the unknown card and get more choice. But it does line up pretty nicely with for 5 mana on this next turn with Priest anyway. So it probably doesn't matter, but there is a minor little bit of equity that could be obtained there. So we probably have Behold. You've got an active Sentinel's Eyes for right now. I need to find Bajuka Bog. Okay, there's the Behold. Okay, Pioneer. Yeah, so this deck is upgraded a little bit. Gonna have to figure out what we're doing exactly. I think I'm just gonna play the Rager. This thing is gonna become an unholy terror, unfortunately, but there's not much we can do about that. I think I'm just gonna start attacking. This will be unfortunate because we don't play Libations in the main deck anymore, so it'll be a little rough. But for now, generally what the best plan is just to attack. I'm not really worried about the other cards, so after board we'll bring in 4 Libations and potentially some other stuff. Okay, so now it has flying. It's larger, and it's going to have vigilance. Okay. Well, that's what we can do. Yeah, this deck seems pretty slow is one of the things, but like Essence Symbiote definitely like speeds it up. I'm not sure what I think of Cocoon. I like Symbiote a lot though. It's a good card. Yep. Alright, so now we gotta deal with the 4/5 Hexproof Flyer. I don't think there's any way to give it any type of lifelink. Vigilance is a really good addition to it, though. Is any of this useful? Not really. I guess I'll take Priest. Actually, I should have taken Sanctuary, probably, but it's fine. I can get a land off this one. So now I'm just going to have to go really, really wide. Yeah, I'll take the land. I don't need the extra thing. It's not worth attacking for 3. It's worth it probably to attack for 5 next turn, but it's still going to be really tough. Oh, I guess they didn't quite get naturals because they play Terramorphics. Okay, that makes sense. That they actually made it to 3 colors. Okay, so it's a 5/5 Trampler. Yeah, this is playing a lot like a Hexproof deck, but a little bit clunkier. I like the idea of combining them. I just think it should play as more of a mid-range value deck that happens to have this really secret weapon where it just kind of punches you with the Hexproof creature. Okay. So now it gets bigger. Huge. So big. I can't chump it. Still only a single creature. I really like how this looks for my next game. Although I'm probable to lose this one. Like, it's going to be very hard to fight this thing. So what do I need to win? I think I need Lampad right here. Not Island. Island was the worst possible draw. I guess I still have a little bit of equity, so I'll play it out. I don't like my chances at all, though. But I'd like to see a few more cards, since I don't know if the most recent version of this list was posted. And because of that, it would be nice to see what's going on. So they block the Rager. Take 5, go to 10. Yeah, this probably isn't going to work. I think I'm live to draw Lampad and win, though, which is kind of nice. Lampad this turn would have been just absolutely amazing, though. Okay, and then we pass. Okay, so the only thing that actually matters in this matchup is Jungleborn Pioneer. Everything else is removable pretty easily, like even if they make it big. So I bring in the Murder, as nonsensical as that is, and then I bring in the Libations. I think I'm playing 4 of them today. Oh, they have Starlit Mantles too. That's good to know about. Okay. Sure, you are doubly hexproof for this turn. Take 8. As long as it doesn't have lifelink, I don't care how big it is. And if my opponent has nothing, I kill them if I draw a Lampad. So I have a 2-outer. That is not a 2-outer. Probably dead. Yep. Okay. Go to the next game. Assuming my game loads here. Come on. Come on, Arena, you can do it. Alright, so we insta bring in all of these. We take out the Murder. Memory Leak is pretty decent if we want it. Suffocating Fumes is fine, but they're going to get out of range of Fumes, and I don't want to bring in Fumes against the small guys. Salvager is pretty good. Duress is not good. Fangs is not good. Craving is so-so. We cut the Fumes already, so I'm at 65. So what am I doing here? I need to have enough removal to kill the small creatures. So I probably actually don't want the Memory Leaks. And if they draw their hexproof creatures, they draw them, and we just call it good. I don't think I want Striped Riverwinder. It's not meant for this matchup. They don't play removal, or if they do, it doesn't matter. We can outgun them on that. Wandering Death is fine, but not really where I want to be. I think let's just cut that. We'll play a very streamlined kind of control role for now. It's possible that I want to cut more moments, but I also need to keep in enough removal to kill other creatures like that game. Like if at any point I drew a hypothetical Freaka's Libation, that game instantly becomes a win. Alright, and I will play first. This hand is pretty bad, but we have Libation and we have Mire's Grasp and Priest. So we've got some early play to it. Okay. So they do play some tapped lands that are multicolored. Second tap land. Alright, we needed a normal land there instead of a creature. If we draw a creature, it should be okay, and we can continue rolling from there. But that was a pretty bad stumble. Like getting a Cloudkin Seer onto the board, that would have been great. You got to start the clock early against a deck like this. Alright, and that's really rough. Alright. This is what it is. Dug out of worse spots. My opponent probably just has Jade Guardian here. At least if we draw a land, we can just insta-libation them. Still insta-libation them. Alright, well, we hit a tap land. I'm going to use my stuff to kill this off, since I might as well. And I can't kill their token. And this will look like a natural set of plays. And then that opens up for Libation, because I do want them to overcommit to the creature. None of their mutate cards actually gain card advantage. Like the Great Horn is fine. It's a decent body at a 3/4, but it doesn't actually gain any type of advantage. Okay, the Dreamtail Heron actually gains advantage. So that replaces itself. Okay. And I'm just going to kill it. Alright, and I will pass, and we'll see if we can dig out of this. I generally like where this is going. I probably want to draw like an ice tunnel or something. Alright, Pioneer again. Got it. Got to make them commit to the board with creatures, and we can work from there. Alright, I'm going to make them commit a little bit more here than just the Parakeet. Partially because I need lands. Doesn't really matter which way I commit, but I'll just commit to this. That's really ugly. We have 2 snow lands, so we'll use it to kill off the Pioneer. I'm hoping that we can get to a better position in a turn or so. Maybe I'm supposed to just kill this again, just to make sure nothing happens. Because there definitely is a situation where I fall behind and they just keep attacking, especially if I don't draw lands. Yeah. The fact that I don't have lands is a huge issue. Alright, so they have Behold. I do really want to trade for the Essence Symbiote. So I think I'm just going to have to take a punch here. And we're drawing pretty badly, but I have to play Oracle here just to kind of dig out of the land hole that I'm in. Okay. There's a land. And as the saying goes, if you're not blocking, you should be attacking, and I think that's true here. The only situation I don't want to be is if this gets big, but I don't think there's anything I can do in that situation. And because I don't think there's anything I can do, I might as well be attacking. Like, if this gets big, I can chump block. If they remove my creature, I'm probably not chumping with the Cloudkin anyway, because there's some weird threats where I can fight the Fox here. Yep, there's Behold. The thing is, I think you want mostly raw cards with this deck. And you do play cards. I guess you're not actually committing that much to the board such that Secrets is as good. So maybe you want something else. But, you know, they do have a decent number of lands. Like, they almost overdrew their lands at 8. Okay, so they're committing that way. If they have Starlit Mantle, we're in trouble. But there's nothing we can do about that. I guess I could Libation, which is almost what I want to do. That's just a huge punch. So that's where the question comes down to it. Alright, so I hit a land finally. That's good. I can chump. So this is where the questions come down. If my opponent's left up a suspicious amount of mana, I can murder, which uses up my whole turn. If it fails, I have a chump block and I don't die. And then I have to draw a land and then not die. Alternatively, I can Cloudkin Seer, which creates both chump blocks and it creates a very awkward board state for my opponent. Good, we hit the second land, which means I can Libation, or Murder, Libation, or whatever else. I'm just going to attack for 1 here. Because I want to threaten the double block on this one and see what happens. But getting to 6 is really important for this deck because of how many 3s you have. So if they're pretending to have Starlit Mantle, I definitely want to jam both with blocks, because I'm going to have trouble with Starlit Mantle anyway. So this tells me they don't have Starlit Mantle. I am going to chump here because life is enough of an issue. My opponent also should know that Starlit Mantle like just auto beats these two creatures. There's nothing I can do. Like if I get got by Starlit Mantle in another situation, that's going to be awkward. Let's start off on this. Wow. That's a really interesting set of choices. Okay. As the saying goes, we go again. So I can kill both of them, assuming my opponent bricks on creatures right now. I need the swamp, but I don't know if I can afford it. Is there anything else I can do now? I think I just have to take it at this point to get a third black. I have no attacks here. I'm forced into a chump. And then I can libation, and if that solidifies, I should be okay. So I take 3, go to 4. Yeah, that last turn was interesting. I guess it makes sense if you just want to hold up all of your answers and you're like worried about libation, or something like that. Let's just see what happens. I don't think my opponent brings in negates against me. That seems like a little too far. They'd rather spam the board. My opponent has something, but that doesn't mean anything because they've got 2 activated abilities on the table. Okay, so they sack the one that's better, so to speak. They're willing to give up lethal. I'll libation them again. So if the worst comes to pass, I think I need to draw another land. I'm not going to worry about flash creatures at this stage. I don't think I can afford to. And I'll just get in for 2. My opponent is probably going to sack their land and then scry. The fact that they did neither is really interesting. Alright, and they have no plays. Well, in that case, I'm on... I think what I need to do is just develop my board, even if it hurts. This puts me up to 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can secrets for 3 cards. I assume that they just have cards like Sentinel's Eyes and such. Okay, this is pretty good here. This means I can rebuy one of my libations. We might actually be heading into the territory where you need to consider an innocent blood, depending on where Hexproof lives. So you do that, play the priest, attack for 2. This game is now pretty solid, I think. We'll just see. There could be something unexpected, obviously. My opponent realizes they did not sack. They should thin their deck ever so slightly. And then they should scry. They do neither. Interesting. What are they trying to do? Are they out of lands? Like, they could be out of basics. It's unlikely, but it's quite possible. But they should be scrying in that case. Alright, so we drew that. I think I'm just going to crack in for 4, and then I don't really want to drop that much lower. But I do want to put some more stuff into play. I'm not sure what I'm afraid of. There are flash creatures, but there aren't many. Like, if I lose to one of the 3/3 flyers, that's going to be kind of wild. I love that card, or those cards, but not what I'd expect. I'll take the land, because that's what I need at this point. And I can go to 1, but I don't think that dramatically changes anything. So I'm just going to play this. I'm going to get a 3rd libation and just kind of call it good. And then I present lethal in 2 turns. And we'll pass. There's nothing else we can do that's reasonable. My opponent knows about 2 of the libations. Okay, now they sack. So they apparently have lands. Okay. And they scry. Yeah, so we're only scared, we're not actually scared of big creatures, we're a little scared of them because of Starlight Mantle, but that's it. So they brought in Swift Response against me. I don't think that's correct. I think that if you're betting on Swift Response, you're already losing. Because my creatures aren't valuable individually, they're valuable en masse. So I'll go to 2. I'll risk it. There's no burn in these colors. No bee stings or whatever. Alright, sure. I will play this. I don't need anything more. This puts... Does this give lethal? Or not quite lethal? Not quite lethal. Okay. So I actually should play the Rager, I think. Unless there's another Swift Response. If there's a Swift Response, then I shouldn't play the Rager. Or maybe I should. I need to look at it. Okay, so now I should play the Rager, even though it puts me to 1. Okay. My opponent scries. My opponent is still alive if they draw Swift Response. But that doesn't help them is the thing. Okay, so they drew Behold. That was what they scried to the top. That's a decent enough draw. Bottom, bottom. Yep. They need to play like 3 creatures, survive, and then like the problem is surviving against 6 removal spells. Yeah. Okay, so we get to go into our 3rd game here. We dug out of that mana hole at the beginning, which is good. I guess I have to click to make it go through. That's kind of interesting. Oh, it's because it never makes it to the winning screen, and it just holds. That's why. And it's just slow to load for me. Okay. So negate is not something I want. I could consider stuff like memory leak because I want to remove certain targets, but I almost feel like playing the I'm going to kill your stuff game is better. Moment of Craving doesn't have a lot of gas to it. Like, it's very particular. So I think I'm actually going to bring in 1 memory leak. I think memory leak is flexible enough that it's going to do what I want it to do. And into game 3 we go. My opponent appears to be reconsidering their options. And they're here, they're going to be on the play. This hand does not have any of the problems of the last one, but it is missing the libations. So we'll see what there is to see about that. Alright, doesn't really matter where I go, but I'm going to probably go Lampad into Oracle, or it's going to depend on where the Cocoon hatches. Cocoon definitely allows for some really aggressive starts, but I don't know if that's what you want. Maybe I should have cut Lampad. But I like Lampad when you're trying to jam into some creatures and gain some additional life and just like drain them out the last little bit. Because I feel that the opposing deck's a little slow, so that you can get in some fast points and then maybe you can like chip in the air. Because they only have the parakeets that fly, or parakeets plus heron. Alright, a lot of Terramorphics. Cartouche of Knowledge. Okay, so now it flies. Alright, I need to find removal for it. I think I can hold. I'm trying to think about what, like on the next turn, they can do a lot of stuff to that that's going to make it really annoying. Regardless, I should definitely attack. There's nothing, like, there's no reason I shouldn't attack here. So if my opponent puts a Great Horn on it, I would rather have not done anything. If my opponent puts a Heron on it, I'm fine. If my opponent puts the Vulpikeet on it, no, the Heron I'm not fine. No, I'm not fine on any of these. So I'm just going to try to catch them. I'm not fine because I have to pass the turn. So this is where I'm going to pretend like I don't have anything. And hopefully this makes it work. Because I would like to get the additional card if I can. Let's see what they get. Just because most of their things don't give advantage. So I can get them with the triggers on the stack. And my opponent can't keep up any type of protection. Come on, you know you want to. Come on, hatch the egg. Ooh. Does not hatch the egg. Okay. I've got to kill the egg, because the egg is the easiest thing to get outside of any type of range for doing stuff. So, no, that's a very heads-up play by my opponent. I think I'd rather have the flyer. I'm not going to be blocking the ground pounders for any time soon. So, it comes out to about the same. I don't really care about sacrificing anything. I'd rather have the second black for murder. And then we can just see how this develops. Next turn, we can have mana up. I don't mind taking a little bit of early damage now. My opponent seems to be lacking the necessary chemicals to make this deck work. My opponent is down on time by like a fair bit, by like half the clock. So that is a reasonable thing that might come up. Okay, become a 4/5. Do you want to kill it if I can? My opponent probably has Starlit Mantle if they just pass on this. I do get to play like a Lampad game, so I might just play Seagates, I guess, and then sacrifice it, and then just get in chip shots with the Seer. Like, I do sense a Starlit Mantle. Oh, okay. Just another one of the Great Horns. Oh, that's a pretty good draw. In that case, I'm just going to deploy to the ground for right now. And I'm willing to risk it here. Just because even if they get a Starlit Mantle on it, it only kills one of my creatures. So I have a beautiful triple block on it. I just have to accept taking 4 in this turn, and then next turn I get to jam a bunch more stuff. I go up to 6, so I actually probably want to lead on Secrets. Alrighty. Let's see what they've got. 3 cards in hand, 5 lands. They only choose to chip in for 4. So as we've learned before, that does not mean that they are lacking the Starlit Mantle. They need a flyer. Okay, so they've got Behold. I'm going to play this first, and then I'm going to 6, 10. I'm going to draw 3 cards. And then I'm probably just going to play another Rager, I think. Yeah, because I want something on the ground. I want as much on the ground as possible. And then I'll just get a chip shot in. Go to 9. So we're going to try and trap the Sentinel's Eyes in the graveyard and exile it. That's our goal. Now they Behold. This is a very reasonable board state at this point. The only thing we might be worried about, is like Heron, but Heron doesn't even like get things out that much because Heron doesn't change the toughness value. So like we always have Sanctuary, Seer, Cruelty. It would be nice to have a third black source, and I'm looking for that with like Bog or something like that. And it is a little awkward for our other plan of trapping the Sentinel's Eyes. But we can take a little bit of time. That's the nice thing about this deck. Okay, Essence Symbiote. That's a little dangerous. We got to be careful. Okay, opponent is making it fly. All right. That's fair. We're going to take a little bit of damage. Gets bigger. Goes up to a 6 power thing. Okay, so we've got flying blockers, which is nice. I'm not sure what I want to do. It doesn't trample yet, which is nice. So that's a good start. I think what I'm supposed to do is push. And then see what my opponent says. If my opponent has trample, I'm going to be dead anyway next turn. So we get some damage in. Okay, so now how do I do this? I think what I just do is I draw 3 to begin with. I try and get some murders, which I don't. I'm unfortunately priced into just playing this. Drawing another card. We're a little tough here. I'm going to grab the Cruelty. And then I'll pass. This is cutting it pretty close, but there's nothing we can do. So I'm going to cut the Ice Tunnel as it's the worst of our lands. Maybe I was supposed to actually just play Seer or something like that. but this is very safe, assuming that my opponent doesn't have something else. If they have something else, then we're dead, if they have another flyer. Okay, we are not dead to that. That is a pretty decent one, being a 4/5, but we definitely have blocks on it that are going to be good. It does force a position where we're out of land pads, but we get to kill their entire team and then libation them. So I think that that's a winning position for us. It should be they jam everything. That's the correct play for them. Because everything's lethal. Or actually everything isn't lethal. That's really interesting then. Alright, so I'll block. You don't trample, right? Yeah, vigilance and flying. And I'll sack this, ping them for 1. I'll play a little more conservatively this next turn, just because that's all I need to do. Okay, so I think I want to kill the 4/5. Like, if they have Mantle, it doesn't matter, because this creature is pretty bad. They do have Mantle, and they use it on the wrong creature. Okay. So now they're out of cards, and we have 1,000,000 cards, so that's great. That's exactly where we want to be. We're going to go grab this thing, because we need it. We're going to take it. And then, just to make sure nothing weird happens, we're going to play this. We unfortunately draw the card we know, but that's okay. There are plenty of chances to make this work on this next turn. We got a nice little chump block, and everything's fine. My opponent's also on 3 minutes, for whatever that's worth. But I think this game is well in hand. It looks pretty weird, but I'm not really scared of the non-hexproof threats. My opponent has to have drawn like absolutely perfectly here. Submit. Okay. Take nothing. 5 to 15. Now we get to simplify from here. Okay. So obviously we need to simplify by killing this, if that's our plan. I don't know if it actually is, though. It might be better just to kind of develop the board for a minute. I think it's actually better to play Seagate and try and find another removal spell. That's a good one. Then what we get to do is kind of situate here, and we're very comfortable because I still have my flyer. So I think I'm going to hold. This is the correct position to hold in at this moment. On the next turn, like, I have a lot of developments that I can make where I just kill their entire team. Okay, so now we get to see where this goes. I'm going to let the damage go through, because now I've got a cruelty that I'm holding in the wings. So the question is, what did they draw? They did not draw something they needed. So now we get to actually bag that Sentinel because we did it end of turn. So we'll bog, kill the Sentinel's eyes, and we'll draw a bunch of cards. We have used up all our flyers, but I don't think that's a huge issue right now. I should be worried a little bit about what my opponent could be doing, so I shouldn't actually invest into this fight unless I'm going to kill both creatures, and I don't want to. So I know this looks really weird, passing 7 cards in hand, all this mana. It's to avoid an alpha strike where they draw a flyer and they kill me. Right now I have Libation. I'd prefer not to Libation, though. Like, I'm just taking this very slow, very matter-of-factly, making sure they don't have outs. On the next turn, what I do is I bring back Cruelty with Salvager, and then I probably Cruelty the Greathorn. I might Cruelty the Greathorn. It really depends. I'm on 4, 9, 10. Yeah, I don't know if I do because I can't play around Starlit Mantle. Like, I'm trying to avoid Starlit Mantle into Mutate Flying and killing me. But my opponent just doesn't have draw steps that actually matter is the thing. So what do I do here? I think what I do is I actually just Libation them twice at end step. And then that lets me spin my wheels around and close out the game. Maybe that was a little too greedy. Maybe I'm just supposed to jam both Libations, but I think it's fine. Now I get to crack in for a bunch. Everyone's happy, so to speak. And my game is frozen. Okay. All right, we'll play the land. We'll crack in with all my creatures. I'm not going to play Memory Leak. I don't think it's necessary at this point. If I decide that I really need something, I can. For now, I'm just going to play Salvager. And we'll get back Libation. And I will go to 4. And then I'm going to pass. And that gives me well over lethal here. And it also lets me have one free sacrifice if I want it. Yeah, we've got this in the bag now. Yeah, I think really where this deck needs to be, it claims to have inevitability, but it actually doesn't against a black-based deck with Libation that's prepared for it. So because you don't have inevitability, what you're trying to do is create a fast enough clock that you overwhelm your opponent's specialized removal. Specialized in this case is Libation. And I don't think this deck is fast enough to do that. I think the hexproof decks present a better clock with their hexproof threats and like Karametra's Blessing. You just make stuff go bigger than Moment. You make it go bigger than Cruelty at 5. Yep, good game. All right, and that's the event. We went 2-1, which is about average. It would have been nice to play another round. I might have to bring this deck back for another week. Anyway, thank you very much to everyone for watching. I think my main change would be just cutting a Suffocating Fumes for a Secrets. I think that's going to be the best change. So that will be everything for this evening. Have a great night.